I've actually never followed trends, funnily. My job is to create the trend. It was almost like only the very modern girls and the ones who were kind of, independent were buying, but anyone who was buying with their mum or relatives was shying away from our product because it was too modern.
Today we have with us somebody who has revolutionized Indian fashion with her modern cuts. She is known for her embroideries and prints. Please welcome Payal Singhal. Hello Payal, thank you so much for having us today and making time for this.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
So Payal, you have recently celebrated 25 years in the fashion industry. Congratulations on that big milestone.
Thank you.
But few people know you won the award for Shoppers Top Designer of the Year when you were 15. That is very young. Tell us where the journey began. Did you always know you wanted to become a designer?
So, I grew up completely surrounded by fashion, art, and films. My parents had a garment manufacturing company and a retail, ready-to-wear retail chain store called London Fashions, very popular in the 70s. And my grandfather was a very well-known painter and then photographer to the film stars and was involved in films very actively. So literally like my childhood was film, fashion and art. So I was always dabbling with painting, sketching, kind of designing my own clothes. And then Shoppers Stop was launching in 92. And they wanted, to create some kind of a buzz nationally. So they put out this contest in the newspaper, which was open to all. And that was like my opportunity. So just for a lark, I sent in a sketch. The sketch got shortlisted. And then I actually went on to win the first prize, and a very little known fact is that I tied with Payal Khanwala for that award.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and all the way back. And I was in between my 10th grade and my 11th grade holidays when this happened. So, yeah, it was honestly, I feel like something that was meant to happen, and these are like, you can look back in hindsight and say this was the journey. By that time, I wasn't thinking much. It was just happening. So
that is such an interesting story. Do you remember what you presented in your first fashion show? Was there did you already crack your signature elements back then?
So, when we celebrated our 25 years recently, I recreated that garment from 1992 because I had no paper pattern, nothing, whatever. But from my memory, I recreated it. And like I said, I was all of 15. And at that point of time, to understand the Indian designer landscape, there was designers like Ritu Kumar, which our parents would go, our mums would go to. And that was designer. Everything else was either made by your tailor or you went abroad to shop, right? So mine was a spaghetti strap anarkali and it had a black embroidered shrug on top. So for 1992, that was quite revolutionary where you could actually wear it without the shrug or with the shrug. And, it could be a little more risque as a spaghetti strap kurta, which was an unheard of concept in those days. So I think I did set my signature style then without realizing, It's clearly what I was drawn to and what attracted me. But yeah, it was not intentional. I wanted to be, I guess, in the modern Indian space without even realizing it.
So talking about your signature aesthetic, I think Payal Singhal Designs has introduced this aesthetic that has been picked up by new age brides and their bridal. All brides and bridesmaids wants to wear the prints, the tassels and all of that. But as you said, 25 years back, the Indian market, the consumer behavior was different. It was probably more conservative. Tell us, what were the challenges you faced when you came in with your spaghetti anarkalis and the revolutionary risque silhouettes?
Many funny stories. But first, to answer the thing about what happened, when I started my label, it was almost like, something which we learn in management schools now, or something we try to teach the younger generation is try to find a product that people don't even know they want. Right? That's exactly what happened when I launched my label. I did it purely from a desire of wanting to make clothes which matched my upbringing, which was a whole new world of Indians all over the world, including India, who didn't grow up wearing ethnic clothing. We grew up wearing jeans and t-shirts, right? That was not so true even for our parents. Our parents generally grew up wearing shalwar kameez and stuff like that. So we were completely awkward in our ethnic clothing. So how to make that more fun, more adaptable. So my kurtas became tube tops, my salwars became palazzo pants or capris, the dupatta became a beaded stole. And that was more out of like my wanting to create something for people like me, like they say people like us or people my age, just young girls who love fashion but also want to wear something which is cool for an Indian wedding. And from that, I think we created something like a new space or like a movement. And I mean, today it's not so extraordinary to make Indian fusion or modern Indian clothing. But in those days, it was. The kind of things I had to go with, like when I had a backless kurta, I had a lady tell me, iska back kidhar hai? So, or when I was in America, and they were still wearing shalwars or churidars with those heavy, heavy anarkalis. And they used to think Benza and Amarsons were designers. Because understand the designer market was very small at that point of time. There were like four or five designers and the rest were retail stores. And to explain to them that the fashion that you all are looking at in especially New York, New Jersey is like more than 2 decades old to what is happening on ground right now. Today with the internet, with social media, with Instagram, TikTok and all that, the world is very small. But in those days, it was like the fashion in America was 10 to 20 years behind what was going on in India. So to educate them that, oh, nowadays everyone wears palazzo pants was like something. And they didn't even know the difference. Like, for example, they'd say, call it a churidar. So I'm like, I don't know, what do you mean? Like, because we call the churidar, the pants. But they would call the whole outfit a churidar. So it was honestly like, it was really a time of firsts. And I knew, I'll tell you, when you look back at history, anyone who's been in the time frame, like whether it's an artist or a politician or an athlete, in the time of first is really something powerful that happens. And I was part of that experience. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
Talking about how international clients perceived Indian wear at that time, your milestone in 2006 when you opened your store in Gramercy Park in New York and in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Of course, at that time, as you said, that people there were actually quite behind in terms of Indian fashion as we were here compared to when we were here. So tell us, do you think there has been a certain or a significant change in how Indian wear right now is perceived in India and both outside India?
Yeah, totally. I mean, like I said, when I started going to the US and doing my trunk shows and pop-ups, it was almost like only the very modern girls and the ones who were kind of, independent were buying, but anyone who was buying with their mom or relatives was shying away from our product because it was too modern. Whereas when you go today, the mums are buying our clothes. You know what I mean? So like that's how much of a shift has happened. In terms of Indian fashion in general, the shift has happened. There are definitely there is a customer for the traditional Indian garment and the craft. And having said that, our entire product is based on Indian craft. It's just a modern interpretation of it, even in terms of the embroidery techniques and all. So there is brands who do like traditional clothes with, in the traditional colors, embroideries and all in a traditional style. And there's a taker for that. But I would say like more of it is towards the modern Indian vibe, which is even if it's an old textile or an old embroidery, and even if it's a kind of a silhouette which is old fashioned or old school, the girl wants to wear it in a modern and contemporary way. The big part of it is social media, and the big part is that the world opened up, with Facebook and Instagram and connectivity. So a big part of the education today, I wouldn't say anyone is behind anyone. I think fashion has become very like universal, global, and I think that's a new transition we are seeing now for Indian designers. Now we're now being recognized for the craft versus just something which is like of ethnic background. So all positive things in that.
So Payal, as you said, that today even the girls' moms and Masis come to you for outfits. The reason that is because your clothes are Indian but global at heart.
Yeah.
It has such a deep-rooted Indian element to it, be it the karigari or the textiles, but the silhouettes, the cuts, the way you interpret it is very contemporary. So what this brings me to is your design philosophy. I really want to pick into that aspect. What is your design philosophy? How would you like to describe it?
So, I grew up with a deep love for the colors, the textiles and the craft of India. because for two reasons. One is my parents were in the garment manufacturing business, I explained to you. And my grandfather, a very well-known painter, was also very nationally acclaimed for his work on capturing Adivasis of India. He got a national award for that. So he would go into different villages, shoot these Adivasis, shoot them means film them, and then come back and make paintings. And the vibrancy of the costumes that I saw with the Adivasis, from the jewelry to the colors to the textiles they were wearing, had left a deep, deep impact on me. So for me, I think I always wanted to play with what was very India. So that was a given. Now, like I said, I was this kid who grew up wearing shorts and t-shirts, and I'm now suddenly, how am I supposed to adapt my brain to lehengas, assi kale ke lehenge, that was going on in those days. So I just, like I said, it was at that point, there was no thought process. It was just like what I wanted to do or what I felt like. But I would deconstruct it, for example. So I took the anarkali and I made it into a crop top with a skirt, and I attached the churidar to the skirt. So it's like really easy. It's two-piece and it looks like deconstructed anarkali. Almost like what you see in fusion food going on right now is what I was trying to do with my clothes. Or I would take zardozi, which is a traditional Indian stitch, which is usually done with materials like sadi, kora, nakshi. And I would use those materials along with wool, leather, and create a kind of a more modern interpretation. So we have one lehenga which is done entirely in zardozi, but the raw material is wool. So you get this feeling of it almost looking like a Mexican embroidery, but it's all done in zardozi. Or I have a lehenga which is fully done in zardozi, but the entire lehenga is made with small, small pieces of leather. And from far, it looks like you've worked with gota, but it's actually for leather. That interested me, like the innovation side of creating different textiles, different textures with Indian arts and crafts, but making them more modern and contemporary.
What I want to ask is, what is your design process? Is there a particular process? Like, I'm sure you are inspired by your grandfather who photographed the Adivasis, then came back and put it into execution. Do you have a process like that?
So, I have been trying to figure out my own process, because all I can tell you is it is very chaotic, but it works for me. And, whatever girls who come and work with me, they just get used to it. It's like, so I design in a very different way, I guess, than most people. A lot of people start with the design first, like on paper. I start with an idea. And like I said, I don't know what other people do, because I've never actually been asked another designer, hey, what's your process? I'm just assuming. I start with an idea and a thought. I always have something I'm interested in exploring. So we start with that. Then we do a lot of referencing, visual referencing. I'm a very visual person, and any creative person is usually a very visual person. So we put in lots of references, whether it could be flowers or actual garments or architecture. Sometimes it's a verse, it's a mood board, anything, just things that just come into that feeling, So like when we did Tazib recently, it was based my first love, which is Mughal art and architecture. So it was a revisiting of that, just because we were celebrating 25 years and I wanted to give, it was like a nod and an ode to my favorite inspiration. So we went back to it. But again, I'm going to go back to an old inspiration. I have to do it in a new way. So just exploring everything from all the begums to the Nach dancers to the palaces to the, jali work to motifs. Then we from that create patterns which help us to make prints or designs for embroidery. Then we start to actually work on those things. Like we'll start to work on design of the pattern in terms of like a print with colors, motifs, whatever. I like to mix things, try to, I like to distort the original thing just to create something new. And then simultaneously, we're working on embroideries. So in the embroideries, we're trying to say how delicate we want to go or how modern we want to go. So those two things happen parallelly. While that's going on, we start working on a color palette and then sketches. So then I have all my parts ready. Like I call it, like I have all my groceries and my ingredients ready to make my dish, and then I kind of put it all together. So then if I've designed this silhouette, for example, like, okay, this was from Tazib. So if I've designed this like a backless choli with an arm tie up to look like a dupatta, now I'm like, okay, these are the colors I decided for the show. I think this would look nice in this color. And then we have a certain embroidery I feel would mix this vibe. So it's literally, like I said, I keep my parts ready and then I make the final garment.
Final dish.
So so like I said, I don't even know if this is correct, but this is my process, and it's a little chaotic, but then to me, I find it very systematic and organized, and this is the way I get the best product out of me.
While coming back to your words, going back to an old inspiration also requires reinventing it, putting a modern spin on it. And I'm assuming that after so long, 2.5 decades, designing has become your natural habitat, your second nature. But creative blocks are still very human, they happen. How does Payal Singhal cope with it? Is there a certain rejuvenation process that you go through to get over these creative blocks?
So first of all, I'm one of those people who's always bursting with ideas. So I actually have to tell myself to stop. So I have the opposite problem. Like I'm over stimulated all the time. But yes, what happens is I cannot design under pressure. I've noticed that. So for example, if a collection is due, I will kind of wait till the last minute because I'll be procrastinating because like I have enough time to plan the whole thing. But if it's not coming naturally to me, or if I'm not being able to and whatever I'm designing at that point of time seems forced. So I actually just let it go. So my coping mechanism is to let it go and let it flow back naturally. And I'm going to give you guys a big secret, which I discovered in my adult life. And I probably had this since I was growing up. And a lot of people have told me they've had major aha moments. But I get the best ideas in my shower. And that is the reason, there's a logical scientific reason, is because actually you are completely detached from anything at that moment, and you're just like, even if you're thinking, it's just pure thoughts. You're not touching anything, your eyes are closed. So it's a very almost meditative moment. And so if I'm really having a block, I'll go have a shower.
I am sure nobody knows this except us now.
I mean, I realized it after it was happening to me a lot. And then I read somewhere that when you have, you're having a shower, you're completely disconnected and you are very much in the moment. And it's a great way to calm anxiety and to be in the moment. And then I just put two and two together. So like I said, in my case, I don't have a roadblock ever because I'm always overmotivated and overstimulated. But if at all, I use this. And otherwise, I'll tell you very honestly, I don't think you should force it. Because I think it's when you're a creative person, the creativity also has to be allowed to have a natural flow. There are times when design presentations are this thing, but then I have my team for that. So, and I've already done the groundwork, right? Like they just have to do an extension of it. So yeah, I'm honestly, thank God, in 25 years, I've not run out of ideas for sure. So
this brings me to my next question. As you said, you are always bursting with ideas, which is great. But as we know, fashion is an ever-evolving space, and there is always a new trend that's coming up every 6 months, every 7 months. Do you ever face any challenges keeping up with the trends, or do you ever feel overwhelmed with the number of trends that keeps coming?
I've actually never followed trends, funnily. My job is to create the trend. So when you think of it like that, there's no pressure. And what we noticed was that our collections would start to do well 2 years. I'm just giving you a kind of approximate time frame after we would have put the collection out. Suddenly the sales of that particular style, it's like a 4-season-old collection for me is becoming a bestseller. So now our business runs and operates like that. So what I'm showing you currently, and with COVID especially, it became more like see now, buy now. So it was like what you show on the runway has to be available in the stores immediately. And as much as that had to be done because of the nature of what happened in the world, that's not how people adapt to ideas and to trends. If I'm making clothes which already are in fashion, then yes, that would work. But like I told you, what we are doing is ahead of the curve. So it takes about 2 years. So I never have to worry because I'm ahead again. But I also feel the Payal Singhal brand, even though it's very fashion forward and it's very trendy, it also has a little bit of a timelessness to it. I have clients from 25 years who still have their garments. Now their daughters are wearing it. Or sometimes if they are still in shape, they are wearing it. And it makes me very happy and very proud to know that something which was so fashion forward 25 years back is still fashionable enough to wear to occasion or a wedding even today. So I think that kind of balance between something which is fashion forward and modern, but yet classic and timeless is what we're trying to do and what we have semi-successfully, I would say. I don't want to be too pompous and very successfully. Not in every design does it happen, but in most of our designs, and especially the things which become iconic from our brand. Like now what you're seeing, which is the backless tie-up choli
right.
with the sharara.
Like every bridesmaid wants it, I think.
Yes, and this, I first showed this on the runway in 2006 or 7. We're in 2025. And then we've been exploring it in every season for the last 4 or 5 years. And it's, become like a signature silhouette from our brand. So that's like kind of to answer your question is like it's evolving, but at the same time, there is a certain quality that it looks timeless, like you can always wear a backless choli. The inspiration of that backless choli came all those years back from our Gujarati Kutch backless cholis in Dandiya. Right. That's where that original inspiration, I had done a collection called India in Color, and I had used that concept to make it was a full mirror work choli in the front, and at the back there were just multicolored woolen strings. And that was inspired from a Kutch backless choli from an Adivasi tribe. And now look at where it is as a modern style statement, which is like a half corset, half backless choli, Right. So I think that's what happens. You don't have to be a fashion victim, You can become the fashion trend setter. And I think most designers that's the job. That's our job to do that,
Many of your creations have now become an inspiration for so many fashion connoisseurs, new age brides, their friends, all of that. But you are not just a designer, Payal. You are an entrepreneur today. You have gone above and beyond just doing clothes. And as we know, today's customer does want that. They want luxury and design to seep into every aspect of their life. From bags to accessories, you have done so many collaborations. As a entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, how important do you think are collaborations in order for the brand to move forward?
So I'll answer this in 2 ways. One is as an entrepreneur, I'll answer it because that's not so emotional. I think for us, it's great to collaborate with brands which make products that we don't, because that's something we would eventually want to be a lifestyle brand. And that's what, as a designer, I think in terms of design. I don't just think in terms of clothes, right? So it's a certain aesthetic we bring to the table. So if that is then different products, I myself love that. And as an entrepreneur, we're offering the same customer multiple products, so you're not letting them check out with just an outfit. It's like a very typical management kind of analysis. Also, you are kind of getting people in at an entry point level, an aspirational customer. So that customer of tomorrow, like as we call it. So like, for example, today, like when I went to college, I couldn't afford a Gucci or a Prada bag. So I was buying entry point price point bags like a Michael Kors or a Coach or whatever. But today I am buying, right, those bags. So at the end of the day, if I'm entering, someone is coming in to buy something from Payal Singhal, and they can't afford to buy something from the main label, which is a 40,000-50,000 rupee outfit, but they're able to buy a pair of shoes or a hairband or a handbag and feel like they have bought into that design philosophy. I think that's great. And then tomorrow, that customer, that little girl who's going to college or whatever, will be the CEO of some company and she'll be a Payal Singhal loyalist. Mm-hmm. So that's one aspect of it. Also, trying to taking your label to different markets. You're kind of going into different diasporas, different age groups, different economic backgrounds. So you're really using it as a marketing tool also, right. So like I said, like wanting to expand into different products, wanting to have like crossover branding and creating an aspirational future customer. This is an entrepreneurial side. Now, from the designer point of view or from my philosophical or emotional side, I love collaborations. Mm-hmm. I think collaborative products, I've been a fan of collaborative products from the time when I was younger and when collaboration started. So any international collab that would happen, I'd be the first one to be there like a fan buying that. I remember buying a shirt for my husband from Victor and Rolf and H&M like 21 years back, and every other collaboration that has happened in the last 20 years, that's where I am a fashion victim. I own that piece, So whether it was Balenciaga, Gucci, whether it was Adidas with Gucci, I had that collab with me. Because I just thought when two design ideas or two design minds come together, you get something even better than when one person is kind of doing it. It just It's like magic. I also love working with creative people. So this gives me the opportunity because, entrepreneurship is very lonely at times, because everybody's like secretive and possessive about how they are running their businesses, right? But here, when you're collaborating, you get to share, you get to involve each other, understand each other's data points. And I find that very interesting and very exciting as a designer and very educative and informative. So, honestly, if I wasn't a clothing designer, I would have been a product designer. I've always been very interested in product. And this kind of happened to me naturally because I didn't even know that. When I was starting, I just knew clothes and you could design clothes. And I do want to make Payal Singhal into a lifestyle brand. So, hence all the collaboration.
Do you want to tell us what are you planning for the next 5 years? Do you have any plans that you would like to share with us?
So, it's been a dream of mine to create something called a PS Print Bazaar, where we have all our products which have our signature prints or embroideries under one roof. And because right now we're collaborating with individuals, but we'd like to bring it all under one umbrella. I don't know how I'm going to make it happen, but it's definitely on the cards. And you guys will definitely hear about it in the next 1 or 2 years.
Very excited. But Payal, your PS Girl Stripe is pretty big now, 25 years. You've had so many clients. What I really want to know is there a client interaction story that you really hold close to your heart?
So, so when we talk about the PS tribe, again, there's two aspects of this tribe. One is my clients, like the PS girls who are wearing PS. And then we have this entire content creator community, and not just content creators. It includes editors of magazines, style makers, stylists, celebrities. But I'll tell you, my interaction with both is the same. And I think that's what they like. There is no hierarchy. At Payal Singhal, not just, and it's a work culture which comes into your product, which goes into the service and then comes back to the customer. So it's on a very holistic, circular feeling. We don't have any hierarchy in this company. I have an open door policy. All my girls know. You don't have to take an appointment to meet me. You can just walk into my cabin. I'm available on WhatsApp all the time. Similarly with my clients, we've never turned anyone away for a budget or for a desire. We customize to the end for them. We give lifelong service to our customers. We never turn anyone away. And if we can't, we don't need to, we don't charge even to alter or fix the garment. We work with all kinds of content creators, all kinds of celebrities. We don't differentiate on basis of how popular, the numbers on Instagram, cool, not cool. I don't believe in that. The reason I even create so many products is I don't want someone to come into my store and feel, damn, I couldn't afford something. They can buy a pocket square and go away to feel like they got a small piece of us. But I want them to be able to have something.
It's been 25 years of Payal Singhal Design House, 25 years full of runway shows. Is there a favorite show that you've put up?
So it's not fair to say it, but I think one of the most emotional shows was our PS20 show, which was 5 years back. It was to celebrate our 20-year anniversary. And my very dear friend Shibani Dandekar, who's been a constant muse to the brand and who has walked for me many a times, walked with her now husband, but then, fiance, boyfriend, for the first time together as showstoppers for my show. And the moment was so magical. I remember I picked this song from Greece, which is You Are the One That I Want, for them to walk. And I went to meet Shibani and Farhan at their house to kind of tell them about the music and stuff. And Farhan being a musician and Shibani being a musician, they were like, so it was the acoustic version. There was no music. It was just words. And they were like, how are we going to walk on this? There's no music. I was like, okay, I'll add music. Like I didn't want to, ruffle too many feathers and all. But then Farhan was like, no, we'll do it, And when they walked down the runway and they just naturally, everyone had goosebumps at that point of time. And then suddenly Farhan, in the middle of the runway, turned around and did his famous back walk where Shivani is facing him and his back is, and he's walking backwards. And then the most touching thing was that when they actually got married 2 years back, the song that they chose for her to walk down the aisle to get married was the same song. And that's why it's just such an emotional moment. And a real true celebratory moment created on the runway. And that's why it'll always be my favorite show.
And then that translated into the real life story.
Yeah. And I think that's what we stand for at Payal Singhal. I think it's a very authentic brand. I feel like it's real. It's not, no offense to anyone who does it, but there's no paid things, there's no posturing, there's no forced stuff. It's very natural, it's very real. These are my actual friends. They do actually wear my clothes. And that's what we stand for.
You are undoubtedly known for your prints, whether it's tropical prints, botanical, floral, very vibrant, very soothing. People love your prints, it has become your signature element. But however, people do find it difficult to sometimes style print on print.
Yeah.
So we would love to have some tips and tricks to do that, and it would be so insightful to our viewers coming in directly from you. What would be your tip?
So, I have styling tips for the pro and then for the amateur, because it's different, right? So the pros actually don't need the tips. They know what to do, but this is how the pros do it. It's like you actually have to kind of push the fashion boundaries, and you take different eclectic prints, which probably don't even have any commonality, and then you just go for it. So like you have a different print top, different print skirt or bottom, and you can have a printed belt. You can it's like an OTT thing, but that works. And you can have a printed bag, you can have a printed scarf,
Right.
and it works. So but that is definitely for someone who understands colors and understands patterns, because also how you mix completely contrasting prints is an art, right? So, but this is for the pros. That's how they do it. Now, what I would tell someone who's like a beginner, or someone who's a little afraid, because clearly it's not coming to them naturally, is that to be safe, take the same print and do a print on print. So that's my trick. So you can have the same print. We've done it a lot in our brand too. Same print kurta and palazzo and dupatta. So that actually gives you that ability to wear print on print without wanting to looking like, a circus performer, right? So that's the safe way to do print on print. To take the same print or max the same print in different colors and go with that. And then maybe kind of accessorize it with a solid pop color. So like if your print is very vibrant and you wearing it head to toe, then maybe like cut out the noise with a very solid neutral handbag and shoe which match each other. Now,
Right.
The brave one will take that also in two different colors, but the safe one maybe match those two together to balance out the print.
And then that gives a very put
together look.
Right.
Yeah.
This is our final and the fun segment, which is the rapid fire round. So you have to say the first thing that comes to your mind. A silhouette you can wear all your life.
Black pants.
3 silhouettes that a PS girl's wardrobe should have.
The backless choli, our churidar skirts, and definitely a PS kaftan.
Great. A trend you never want to come back.
Well, unfortunately, it's coming back, but those low-rise, skin-tight, skinny jeans, which I don't know how people used to wear, but it's coming back.
They're definitely coming back.
Well, I hope not, but I heard they are. So,
Pick one, kaftans or jumpsuit.
kaftans for sure.
Statement bag or statement footwear.
Oh, very tough one. I have both. Statement footwear.
We're going to make you choose between very favorite elements of yours. Tassels or mirror work.
Oh, God. Oh, it's like asking you to choose between your children. I would say tassels. I'm definitely partial to them. So.
And finally, 5 things we will find in Payal Singhal's bag when she's leaving her home.
A lot of people make fun of all these things, but phone, of course, because I don't have any other mode of equipment which I work on. So it's just the phone. So phone is my connectivity, laptop, everything. So phone, my earphones, because there are times when I need to have private conversations and hear some funny memes in front of other people. I would say my medicine pouch, because I have all kinds of phobias, and you can find any medicine in my medicine pouch. Like from a little cut to a serious illness, I can cure you. And that's 3. I would say, everyone also makes a lot of fun of the fact that I use loose powder all the time. So I have my compact and my powder brush. And what else? I also have this little thing where I keep elaichi, soft and long in my bag, which is taught to me by my grandmom. So whether it's toothache, nausea, or a slight mild headache, I can cure you with natural remedies.
And that's it. We had the best time talking to you today. Thank you so much for having us.